Hey everyone, I'm Jack Ferdman, and this is Rewatching Oscars Movie Minute. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and today's film is the drama from 1967, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? One Oscar-nominated film, let's go. Now, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was directed by Stanley Kramer and stars Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, Sidney Poitier, Katherine Houghton, and Cecil Kellaway. Now, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is one of those films that many people today call dated, and honestly, I understand why. The film's approach to race relations and its dialogue can sometimes feel very much of its era, but at the same time, I think it's important to remember this movie was made in 1967 when interracial marriage was still controversial across much of America. Looking at it through that lens, the film becomes incredibly fascinating and emotionally powerful. Now, this story follows Joanna Drayton, a young white woman who unexpectedly brings home her black fiancé, Dr. John Prentice, to meet her liberal upper-class parents for dinner. What unfolds over the course of roughly 12 hours is a series of emotional confrontations, uncomfortable truths, generational clashes, and conversations about race, love, respect, and social change. Now, the screenplay is actually very strong, though I do think it does occasionally become overly preachy. Some of the long philosophical monologues feel stagey and almost too carefully written, which sometimes waters down the emotional realism. But thankfully, the performances elevate nearly every scene. Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn, and Katherine Houghton are all excellent together. Even Houghton, surrounded by absolute acting legends, completely holds her own. Now, Katharine Hepburn is particularly extraordinary here. She brings warmth and intelligence and heartbreak and humor and emotional strength to her role. And it's easy to understand why this performance earned her the second of her eventual 4 Academy Awards. And then there's Spencer Tracy. Knowing this was his final film making, watching it is deeply emotional for me every single time. Tracy was extremely ill during production, and you genuinely feel the reality between him and Hepburn on screen. It no longer feels like 2 actors performing roles, it feels like a real couple sharing something personal together. Stanley Kramer was so dedicated to completing the film that both he and Hepburn reportedly waived upfront salaries to help cover Tracy's enormous insurance costs during filming. And tragically, Spencer Tracy passed away only 17 days after filming ended. Now, one of the film's strongest scenes remains the confrontation between John and his father, balancing racial tension with generational pride and disappointment beautifully. Despite feeling dated in places, the film still works remarkably well because of the sincerity behind it and the brilliance of its performances. I'm giving Guess Who's Coming to Dinner an A-. Now, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was nominated for a whopping 10 Academy Awards, yes, including Best Picture, Best Director to Stanley Kramer, Best Actor to Spencer Tracy, Best Supporting Actor to Cecil Kellaway, Best Supporting Actress to B. Richards, Best Film Editing, Best Art Direction, and Best Score, and it won 2 Oscars of its 10 nominations, and those were, like I mentioned, the Best Actress to Katharine Hepburn, and for Best Original Screenplay. Wow. Join me again tomorrow for another Oscar-nominated film, right here on Rewatching Oscars Movie Minute. Because if the Academy took notice, it's worth a rewatch.